All right, folks. Our treasurer is not going to be able to make it, and Jenna's not going to be here. So who is here is going to be, and we have enough for a quorum, so that's good. All right, I'm going to call the meeting to order for the Chamblee Downtown Development Authority, May 26, 2026. Do a quick roll call. Mike Escobar. Jonathan Smith. No. Seth Watson. Brian Ray. Jenna Dunham, not here, not feeling well. And Councilman John Mesa.
Present.
All right, in continuation with Memorial Day, let us turn around and pledge. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, first order of business. Everybody have a chance to read the minutes from our last meeting? Any questions, any discussion on that? If I get a motion to approve the...
I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes for the Downtown Development Authority regular meeting on April 28, 2026.
Second.
All those in favor? And that is unanimous. Thank you. Chair's report. Only a couple of quick things. So the Peachtree Station, as you know, we finally closed the bond on May 7th, and we took in the flip year check of $236,000. So that's now in our bank account, which is great. That was the flip year payment. What's interesting is Peachtree Station had turned right around and just got sold. And I think JLL represented them on that. And I think it's a group out of the Northeast. So they got clear of the bond and then turned around and unloaded it. And I'm not sure if that's good or bad. So
I think it's normal.
kind of normal.
Just different.
I think they wanted to clear the bond because they wanted to get sold.
Yeah, get the money for it.
Right.
So, and I believe they paid, the buyer purchased it for $55 million. So,
Which is less than what the previous owner.
well, that's what I thought too. I thought the assessed value was higher. It was like 60.
They bought it for like 68.
That's what I thought.
They took a, but they bought it when retail was doing very well. And in 2010 or 2020, everything changed. So
Well, I don't think there's any open spots over there right now, but
It's just in being in that
yeah,
space.
right. Well, it's still,
Want to be in it, you know.
well, every time I go over there, it's hard to find a parking spot. So I'm happy that the businesses that are there are doing well. So, and just something that crossed my calendar, just to remind you guys on, I know we've all taken the sidebar classes that Safe Hearth offers. I've taken them 2-3 times now. You know, we only have to take them once to be a member of the DDA, but there's always changes in the laws and trends in the industry and whatnot, and I find them very interesting. So the next one is June 24th and 25th. That's a Wednesday and a Thursday. Is it one a year, or I thought it was just one once? Okay, so if you haven't taken one for this year, then the 24th and 25th, I know it's the middle of summer, and all you guys have day jobs because it's an 8 a.m. to 12:30 class on a Wednesday and a Thursday, but they're...
Is that the one in Savannah or is that online?
No, it's online. Yeah.
Mine in Savannah. It's part of it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, and these classes are excellent, and Dan McCrae pulls in some great guest speakers. Some of them are from Georgia Tech. The one guy, Meeks, the last name is Meeks, Alfie Meeks, when he talks about trends, especially financial matters and stuff with development.
And Alfie Meeks is who does our fiscal impact analyses.
Okay, great. So
So
he's
it's
intimately knows Chamblee's. Yeah, I think so.
No, I think you're talking about Alan Durham, who's also with
Oh,
Georgia
right,
Tech.
right.
But Alfie Meeks is also with Georgia Tech, and he does the actual analyses.
Yeah, well,
There's a guy out at CMN or Regional Development Director for CM Macon, I think, talking.
yeah. Well, I find all the presenters, so it's, 2 4-hour days, And they usually have, I think, one presenter an hour, so it's like 8 different presenters. And like I said, I think there was one a year ago about data centers out in way east of town, and it was the whole situation on how that came to be, and then now they're having problems with it. It was really interesting, kind of a good cautionary tale for people who are interested in developing and bringing in data centers into their community. So anyhow, that sidebar class is June 24th and 25th. That is the day after our June meeting, and but you're supposed to register a week in advance. So, and if you don't have the information, we can send it back out. I think Ashley sent it out in February, and maybe somehow we can put it on our DDA website. So that's that. Next item on the agenda, financial report. Well, since Jonathan's not here, I'll try to remember. I sent out a note to mayor and council. I didn't send it to all the DDA members, and I apologize for that. But basically, we're doing good right now. I think, we not only we take in the 236 from the flip year on the Peachtree Station deal, but we took in the Lumen Bexley payment finally. That was due in October, and we just got it.
Yes, and that was about $192,000.
There we go. So our budget right now, operating and debt, is over 500 right now.
It'll be less because we just cut checks.
Sure,
and
we
one
just-
being a pretty large check that was due to Cypress Shaw. But as of today, after those checks, there should be about maybe a little less than $300,000 in the operating account, and then there's about $127,000 in the debt service, which we went ahead and moved some money over in order to cover some upcoming debt service payments for the loans, because those are about $30,000 a month for the 2 loans.
Okay. So we're finally getting on some good footing, fortunately. Ashley and Jonathan and I had a meeting a week ago. We kind of talked about the city. We took a $300,000 loan from the city to help us through this financially challenging time, since we had a lot of unexpected costs with the city center. We've got 2 more $50,000 payments from them, and we kind of decided that we should go ahead and continue taking those payments just as a cushion in case just things go south with the city center. We don't anticipate it. Any buzz that I've heard, which is very little, because I think right now it's mostly deep into planning and development for the LDP. But as far as I know, everything's going well, but just the worst case scenario, we still have some debt during the summer, and we make most of our money in October when all of our payments are due. So we're kind of, if we have debt earlier in the year, which is kind of what happened to us last year, we got into a jam because we don't get our money, the bulk of our operating funds, till later in the year for our admin payments. So, we decided to go ahead and let's continue getting those last 2 $50,000 payments. So we've got 2 more left, because once the city center sells, we'll be able to clear the books of any debt most of our immediate debt. So we just thought it was better to go ahead and continue on with that loan. Anybody got any questions about that? Or
Just a discussion item. It strikes me that it may be time to start re-engaging with the property owner of the Char Griller property, to start looking at the agreements and looking at demolition of that property and doing what we can to make that property as clean of hair as possible. I'm because I did make a positive connection with that owner, more than happy to stay a part of that process.
Which property was that?
So what we're talking about.
Before we move on, are we still talking about the financial report or just a separate business item?
Well, it was related to the financial report because it had to do with.
Well, we tabled moving forward with taking the building down because we didn't want to spend the money.
Right.
We didn't have the
and
money.
we could absolutely address this as a old business item, however you'd like to handle it.
Well, I think I got the gist of what you're saying, and it does tie in because financially we decided to back off. We were getting engineers to look at that building, but from a financial standpoint, we were not in a position to be spending any money that didn't need to be spent. So you and I can have another conversation about your connection to them, but we'll follow up with the notes of what we had done up to a certain point and try to pick up from there, because I think,
Refresh, we just need,
yeah,
some things might change,
yeah, because I think
pick it back up.
was Matt Dunnigan and his group weren't they handling, looking at that?
They are. The issue is that there is some utilities that are connected between the two buildings. The
Yeah.
issue is what we refer to as the Vintage Pizza parking property and the adjacent Char Griller building. The building that we own actually extends 10 feet onto the adjacent property.
Right.
And because the buildings were originally owned by the same entities and operated by the same entities, things like the gas service and the fire suppression and probably electrical and other things are interconnected between the two buildings, and we're not certain of what the structural relationship between the two buildings is. So before we make the plans to take down our building, to try to eliminate some of those issues that exist, we need to work with the adjacent property owner
Yeah.
to get access to their building.
Yeah.
And so he's an interesting gentleman who is very pleasant, but has a lot of things on his plate, and he's not necessarily in town frequently. So we've made some relationships through Stream. I had lunch with him, with a couple Stream brokers, built a relationship, at least a working relationship. And so I think the real issue is trying to re-engage with him to set things up so that we can get Matt Dunnigan's staff into the building so that they can
Yeah.
understand how the buildings are interconnected, so that as we make plans to take down our building, we understand the implications of what will have to happen across the wall.
Okay, well, I will reach out to Matt and see where we were when we left that off and see what next steps are.
I mean, the next step really is to get access to the building,
Yeah,
which has to go through the property owner. But
okay, very good, thank you. All right, old business, in some sense that was old business. New business, I don't have anything else, anything new. So we'll move on to public comments. I see we have an audience. Hopefully we have some people watching at home, but nobody here. And we don't have an executive session tonight. So I will entertain a motion to adjourn. Yeah, well, Katie, yeah. Well, Katie, we'll miss you all summer. Ashley will be. Well, we'll miss you, and I know Ashley will really miss you, especially during this busy summer. But I know that you're going to do great, and we wish you the best. Yeah, and we'll see you soon. So, all right, motion to adjourn.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Second?
All those in favor? That is unanimous. We are adjourned.